How are you, Deidre?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic. So we're live. We're going to give some people a little bit of time to get in. But
Okay.
are you staying busy?
Yes, very busy. Very, very busy. A lot of small business owners out there who are just looking for information, trying to figure out how to keep their businesses afloat and, what's on the other side. So, yeah.
Understood. And then how are your kids making out? You have how many kids do you have?
I have one kid and one little dog, and it feels like 15. But, I guess a few minutes ago, we were just trying to thwart a violin concert that was right out there. So I had to move them away for a little while.
I was going to say, what do you mean violin concerts? So your kids play violin?
Yes, my daughter is learning the violin. It actually sounds like something now. So, it might not have been that bad, but hey, I had a friend who told me she was leading a conference call and her daughter came into the room with a drum set. So, they just want to liven up the situation.
I see. Maybe we'll get a mini concert behind the door.
Or a few screams, or I'll see one of them running down the street. So if I lose the camera, that's where I'm going.
So we're going to get started. Everyone that's on the call here, if you can, you put questions and comments in the thread there in the chat area, and we want to also make this as interactive as possible given the circumstances. But Deidre Lee is on the call here with us, or the live stream, and she's with the Maryland Small Business Development Center. And she's a business consultant. So I met Deidre back beginning of 2019, I think we met. And I'm inquisitive, and I saw the Small Business Development Center moving into the space where I'm working, and got to know her and realized how valuable of an asset and relationship that she would be to for everyone. And so last week, when I heard about the more about the CARES Act and the SBA loans that are coming out, I reached out to Deidre to get more information. Just if you were on my last call or live stream and many of the others, the reason that we're doing this kind of stuff is because there's so much information out there. We just call it noise, that you don't know what's real. You don't know exactly. Maybe there's a little bit or pieces of it that sound good to you, but you just don't know necessarily how to understand it. So our goal is to bring as many professionals as possible in front of you to get some of the questions answered about some of the things that I think that people are sort of panicking about. And so Deidre, if you could tell us, who you are and what you do, that'd be great. And then we'll just get into, asking more questions and trying to uncover ways in which we can, help people understand the CARES Act, the SBA loans, and with the economic injury programs.
Yeah, so my name is Deidre Lee. I'm a business consultant with the Maryland Small Business Development Center. I've been on board there a little less than a year, charged with providing one-on-one consulting, training, other kind of development opportunities for small businesses, specifically in Prince George's County, Maryland. So these last few weeks have been pretty hectic because we are basically charged with providing technical assistance, which typically the Small Business Administration does not do. So we're the ones when someone has a question about the SBA loan process, about what's going on, they will come to us. So in this larger kind of disaster intervention environment, we play a big role in answering questions, fielding information, and making sure our clients and the general community have a good understanding of what's going on. To be honest, I'm still learning what's going on because the information changes on a regular basis. So we try to be at the forefront, but a lot of times there are clients, there are people like Shawn who are reaching out to me and saying, did you hear about this? What is this? And where everyone is pretty much on the fly.
And so like, what is going on?
Everything, I mean, everything is going on. I think for the most part, where I am and what I'm seeing from most businesses is a panic. I think we all have that because it's not just the business. It's our livelihood. It's a grand health concern, and the understanding that things are going to be different past this situation. So I think for the first part, it's just really having people make good decisions for their businesses, for their livelihoods that will last past this situation. Because if we're making a whole bunch of panic decisions, the outcome is going to be pretty horrendous because you don't make those type of decisions under duress. Yeah.
Understood. And so obviously your charter is to help small businesses, primarily in the state of Maryland, but I think this information is applicable to everyone in the U.S. But earlier, I had asked you your top 3 things that you would tell businesses before we got started the live stream, and then I abruptly stopped you because I'm like, this is great. Like, save it for the live stream. But if you had 3 things, if someone small business owner comes to you and we could paint a broad brush, like what would be the top 3 items or things that you would talk to them about or tell them that are important?
I mean, I think the first thing is definitely moving beyond the panic. I think that's all of our initial reactions. So it's kind of taking that moment just to say, this is crazy. This is what's going on, what's going to happen, embracing it, doing whatever you have to do, and then looking beyond that. I think this situation, and what a wise person once told me is that pain is temporary and suffering is as long as you allow it to be. And so I think right now we're going through this very painful part, and the other side of whatever that painful part is going to be, however we make transitions, take advantage of the programs that are there, look at our own business finances and see kind of where we stand and where we need to be when the economy reopens. And also looking at if we are able to take advantage of some of these funding and financing programs, which typically end up to be loans. What is the impact on our business operations and our ability to be sustainable past this disaster? So I would kind of, in terms of my advising businesses, part of it is just listening to the first part. This is what happened. This is what I was doing. This is where I was going prior to this. And now everything switched. It's looking at where the business is. Are you in a position where you can stay open? Are you in a position that it just makes sense to close? How can you mitigate some of those expenses and other things that are happening that you're responsible for now, but you can't take care of now? And then looking at the inside. How are you going to position your business differently? What opportunities are going to exist in that post-disaster environment that were not there before that you can take advantage of? And how are you really communicating with your customer during this time? If your business has to close, if your business has to drastically change the way it's doing business, how are you communicating with that customer base during that time? So I would say those would be the main things.
Understood. And then so like what's available right now? Like so what for small businesses? Because we hear about the CARES Act. So maybe you could tell us what that means, number one. And then number two, SBA, the Small Business Administration, has put out emergency funding loans. What's available, and what do you see like being the most popular or more accessible loans for small businesses?
Okay, so one thing we have to keep in mind that every business has been impacted by this disaster in some way or another. Businesses that have been teleworking before, they may have had, a large audience in Europe or China or other things because this is a global intervention. And so I think in terms of the programming, there are kind of 3 levels of what is being done to address the small business community. One is on the federal level, so with the CARES Act. So there are a couple of things. So on the federal level, you have two lending forgivable loan programs. One is the economic injury disaster loan, which is now everyone is talking about, like the free $10,000. That may not be the case, but that is the largest program under the kind of as the government's response to COVID-19. And so it is a program designed to lend businesses up to 4 months of working capital to really tide over the disaster. The second program that is available through the federal government, but comes through the regular banking system, is the Paycheck Protection Program. Why that has presented itself as most attractive to small businesses is because that loan is forgivable. And it's really designed to keep people's payrolls intact during this disaster period, and then so that they can resume normal operations once it's over. Looking at those two programs, the EIDL program is probably the better program for really small businesses, because the Paycheck Protection Program will be funded based on the number of payroll W-2 employees that you have, and it covers about 10 weeks of that payroll, even though the funding can be used for other things. In the EIDL program, it covers about 4 months of working capital. So there are businesses that use a number of 1099 contractors or have heavy rent payments or heavy fixed cost because they're sole proprietors, they're just starting out. Then it provides kind of more cash in that. In terms of the underwriting, the EIDL is going to be underwritten by the SBA itself, which they normally never underwrite loans. Only in disaster situations will funding come directly through the Small Business Administration. Because of the speed at which they're processing the applications, even though it seems like a long time, they're processing millions of applications. Given the speed that they are processing applications, some of their underwriting criteria will be less stringent, and there'll be ways to give explanations for things that are coming up that most small businesses, sole proprietors, entrepreneurs kind of face in terms of their credit history and other things. On the Paycheck Protection Program, those loans are being totally guaranteed by the SBA. So that's all federal funding that's guaranteeing those loans, but they're being underwritten by the bank. So for the most part, you have to have a banking relationship. And for a lot of the banks, they want a banking relationship and a lending relationship prior to reviewing those applications. Under the best case scenarios, if you are able to bring back all of your employees, or at least 75% of them, those loan funds are forgiven. But the design of the program was really to save payrolls and keep people off of unemployment. So I've heard stories of banks not even looking at applications less than $100,000 and or applications with less than double-digit W-2 employees, because it doesn't meet their needs in terms of underwriting a number of small loans, which is why you see bigger banks like Wells Fargo have already closed their program as of April 5th, when the program opened on April 3rd. And they supposedly had already decided on $10 billion in loans in 24-hour period. And so, so those are the two kind of federal programs. When you're going down each state, because each state is receiving $1.2 billion in COVID-related disaster expenses. Most of them are definitely going to medical and other type of things, but you know, every corner, every industry has its own lobby. And so most states have been able to put funds from those federal funds into state assistance programs for small businesses. So for example, in Maryland, there was a statewide program which would provide up to $10,000 in grants for small businesses, and then a loan program that would provide up to $50,000 deferred for the first year, and I think at 2% interest rate. As of yesterday, those funds were exhausted. That program opened on March 23rd, but that was a $125 million fund that was for small businesses. Virginia, I don't think has opened a statewide program, but some of the jurisdictions in Virginia have opened their own lending programs. So there's a program in Fairfax. I think there's a program in Alexandria, and I'm not sure what's available through the state, but your state Department of Commerce and also your state Department of Labor may have more information on what is going on the state level. In Maryland,
is that
again,
where, oh, I apologize.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, is that where folks should go? Is that where the biggest source of information is?
That will be the biggest source of information. Normally, like you want to start, you can work your way from the top down, or you can work your way from the bottom up. And so the next level that we are seeing is stuff that's done on the local level. So in Maryland, Prince George's County has a $25 million business or a $15 million business assistance fund. Montgomery County has a business assistance fund, and I'm probably certain that Baltimore City is probably not far behind. And those programs are very similar to your federal and your state programs, where they have smaller grant amounts. I think Montgomery County, Maryland might be 5,000. Prince George's County is 5 or 10,000, and then larger loan amounts. Those programs can be found through your local economic development center. And so most counties, Maryland, Virginia, across the country are going to have economic development offices, and they will have information not only on their local programs, but also the programs for the state. Also, those folks are on hand. So I get a lot of referrals from the Prince George's County EDC. Those folks are on hand to kind of talk to businesses. Where you call the SBA, even your district office, you're going to wait for hours and hours just to get some basic information. You call your economic development office, they're more likely to put you in contact with wherever you need to go, or specific people, the SBDC, through SCORE, through other technical assistance providers who can help you through application processes and things like that. And so that kind of summarized like what that landscape is for funding opportunities. There are also things that are important, is that the CARES Act also speaks to unemployment insurance for sole proprietors and for independent contractors. That has never been the case before, but in the case of the CARES Act, sole proprietors and independent contractors can claim benefits of $600 a week through, I believe now it's the end of July. So for some folks that are either have employed independent contractors or are sole proprietors themselves, that's an opportunity, in addition to the funding that's out there that may take a little longer, to at least have funds available in a way that they haven't been available in the past. Most of your state offices, that information just came through the CARES Act on February 27th. And so some of your state offices, if you're looking to apply for unemployment, they all have like these online portals that are bombarded at this time. But those portals, most likely at this point, at least in Maryland, Virginia, and DC, are not set up to kind of address independent contractors or sole proprietors. So that's a long phone call to make. You can't go into the office, but that's another source of funds that people should be tapping into. It's not a pride thing, other type of thing. Those funds are available to use. So that's kind of a summary.
Understood. No, it's good information. What sole proprietor? What generally like? What type of work or industry would typically be like a sole, like a hairdresser or something, or like
A lot of,
anyone, right?
yeah, anyone. So, a lawyer just hangs a shingle. Anybody who has kind of registered their business, and is just someone working for themselves. And so, but it's actually a physical, you've actually registered the business as a sole proprietorship. It's even, your single member LLCs, can come under that same umbrella. And so you may be your sole proprietor, you're the sole owner of the business, but you still have 3 employees. In the past, you would never be able to file for unemployment, but in this situation, you are.
I think that's very important because there are a lot of businesses out there that have sole proprietors. So for those of you that are listening, please add comments, but take note of that. Because if you do own a business and it's filed, this may be an opportunity for you to get access to funds that you wouldn't have been able to do before.
Yeah, so if you're filing a Schedule C, you're a sole proprietor, even if your business is an LLC. You're a single member LLC. For the purposes of taxes and other things, you're treated as a sole proprietor.
Got it. Schedule C, guys. So Schedule C. If you have a Schedule C, it's available to you. What else am I missing, Deidre? Like what else am I missing?
We're all missing a lot of things. And so the other thing, just to really be wise and be careful, I'll just give you a little anecdote here. And so this morning, before speaking to you, or probably this afternoon, I spoke to a restaurateur who has a couple of businesses throughout the Maryland, kind of DC area. And so one of the things like they talked about was specifically like, how do we really capitalize on our ability to kind of stay open and really calculate what, really how much it's going to cost us to stay open. Are we going to be able to mitigate expenses, or are we just creating more expenses by staying open? Second thing is there were some changes they wanted to make to the business, but really weren't able to do them. So they're a full service restaurant now and would like to reopen post disaster as kind of a Nando's model, where they're having people come up and order food and then bring it to the table, eliminating the whole concept of servers. Part of that is looking at, okay, is this the time to lay off all their servers now while they're eligible for this unemployment at this rate that's, unprecedented, and then potentially not hire them back. So that will kind of inform the kind of funding that they are looking to receive, because some of that funding is predicated on you retaining your employees. Also, they have to look to how to really communicate to their customer base or to people that they're trying to bring in that they're still the same type of restaurant with the same quality of food and the same fine level of service without the servers. And so one of the things that we want to be careful of here is to really look at opportunities in the downtime to position ourselves for strength coming out of that. So it's things like that. It's the time to look at running calculators. How was the business really operating financially a couple of weeks ago? And what will that look like on the flip side? What are the expectations of how that will be different? Also, in terms of funding opportunities and things that you're receiving that are predicated on you staying open or remaining open, it's also looking at how much money is it really going to take to maintain that level of operation? Or even if you do close, what is the ramp up period, depending on the type of business that you have? If you're contracting or doing other things with customers, where when you reopen your doors, there's a 30-day lag before any payment coming in. Right. And so are you really going to be prepared if you've exhausted all of your resources through this time when you open to really experience that 30 days before payments start to come in? So that's the kind of work we will be doing over the next month, over the next 4 to 6 weeks, to really position people to say, this is better, because you have a situation where, you're at home, you're not able to work your business like you want to or have been, but also there are 300 million other people that are home. And so what is about that captive audience? What are people really looking into, and how can you position your business to take advantage of whatever's going to happen when we're able to kind of move freely again?
So these resources, is that what the small business development centers offer?
Yeah, so we offer resources, we offer information, we have a lot of training. Post 2 weeks ago, we had about 3 online trainings available, because most of the stuff, as we all believe, is face to face. People can answer questions, people can be interactive. Part of the energy of any training is what your audience kind of brings to the table. Now, going from 3 webinars or online trainings, now we all in just our small center have 70 online trainings available. Not that I would say that is the best use of our time or resources, but it's just kind of adapting to, this is the environment that is there. This is how many more people are seeking our services and information than ever before. And this is how we reach and touch people that we're not able to see, because most of what I do every day is walking folks through these various loan programs, versus really talking to the person who's like, well, I was trying to start this business, or I have this loan application pending, and kind of what's going on with that.
Understood. This has been awesome. I see people watching and liking and such. I don't see very many comments yet, but in summary, paycheck protection plan. And that's going to help small businesses carry for 4 months of operating income. I think we mentioned.
Paycheck protection program is about 10 weeks of payroll.
10 weeks of payroll, and then we have the economic injury disaster loan.
Yep, and that's about 4 months of operating. 4 months of working capital, basically.
Got it. And then also, it's very important, if you are Schedule C, a sole proprietor, there's a benefit available to you as well.
Yeah, so sole proprietors, independent contractors. I know in this area we have a fair amount of government contractors whose contracts have been put on hold and other type of things. So if you're a 1099, if you are a sole proprietor, you're filing a Schedule C, unemployment benefits are available to you. Got
it. And then state and local have if you can go into their website and get information about this too as well through your state.
Yeah, so states, you want to look into the State Department of Commerce, possibly the Department of Labor as well, but that would give you more information on like workforce protection programs. On the local side, you want to look to your EDCs or your economic development centers.
Okay. And don't panic, right?
And be proactive as much as you can and plan.
Have a plan. That's what you stole my thunder. I was going to say, and have a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Deidre, this has been awesome. We really appreciate you taking the time out to help us. This has been great information. If you're watching this, if you can share it, because I think it's good information for people to know. And it also helps us to be able to do some independent research ourselves, because she's pointing us in the right direction as to where to go. But do you have parting words for us before we go?
Ask questions and utilize your resource. I think everyone is pretty much bombarded right now, but don't sit there in isolation and just kind of worry about it yourself, because everyone's in the same boat. So reach out. Everyone's doing it, and don't be too proud or to really reach out for assistance.
Right, because we're trying to survive.
Absolutely. And more ways than one. So, and be safe. Just be well. So that would be my best advice.
Got it. So I was looking for a quote that I heard this morning, was writing down, but guess I'll do that on the next one. But thank you so much once again. As always, everyone, just stay in the house. Be safe. Check in on folks, and if there's any information that I can help to provide to you all, just let me know. And if there's anything that we can do at Fortis Mortgage to help you to understand what's going on and to make wise decisions, we're here to help you. So have a great day, everyone, and we're going to end this live stream now. Thank you, Deidre.
All right, take care.
You too.